Level 1, the Alluvial Digger, Garimpeiro. The mud clings to your skin like wet cement. You are Garimpeiro, the absolute bottom of the global supply chain. 18 hours a day, you stand waist-deep in stagnant river water. You shake a wooden batia, filtering heavy sediment for a microscopic glimmer. Your reward? Less than $2. A handful of subsistence rations from the local warlord to keep you digging. You are trapped in a predatory debt cycle. The water around you is a breeding ground. Malaria, dengue fever, and waterborne parasites thin the ranks daily. But disease is the slow killer. The rebel overseers watch from the banks with rifles on their knees. Fail to produce a stone, you starve. Get caught holding one back, your life expectancy drops to 0 via summary execution. The sun dips low. Your muscles scream. Then, you see it. Buried in the silt at the bottom of your pan. A flawless, 5-carat rough diamond. Handing it over means another day of slavery. You dry swallow the stone, drop your pan, and slip silently into the dark jungle. Level 2, the camp runner, spotter. You are finally out of the mud. You are a runner. The first link in the shadow economy. You pull in $50 a week. It buys you clean drinking water, antibiotics, and contraband cigarettes. It buys you a break from the shovel. But the cost is suffocating paranoia. You prowl the dangerous periphery of the camps. You hunt for the desperate ones. The starving diggers hiding stones. You find them. You funnel their raw product to mid-level bush buyers before the militias notice. Your lifeline is a smuggled feature phone. You constantly rotate prepaid SIM cards to text drop coordinates. If the militia commander catches you sending a text, the penalty is absolute. Public amputation of both hands. Your wrists sweat every time you hit send. Tonight, you have a meeting. 3 flawless roughs burn in your pocket. But the drop zone is dead silent. Gunfire echoes from the tree line. A sudden turf war just wiped out your primary buyer. You are now holding a highly valuable, undocumented cache of stones. There is only one move left. You must smuggle these stones across the border yourself. Level 3, the border mule, the swallower. You are finally out of the jungle. A successful trip earns you $1,500. It buys you a hot shower and temporary safety in cheap, anonymous urban motels. But you are nothing but a disposable human courier. Your body is the vault. You swallow latex condoms tightly packed with jagged rough diamonds. You physically walk millions of dollars past militarized borders into clean transit countries. Every step is calculated. Your heart pounds. Your stomach violently churns. Prolonged exposure to gastric acid degrades the latex. A ruptured seal means a fatal bowel obstruction or internal lacerations from the uncut stones. You are a walking time bomb. Capture by border authorities guarantees a decade in a squalid, high-security third-world prison. You sweat through your shirt as you approach your usual crossing. The line abruptly stops moving. Your stomach drops. Dead ahead, a newly installed X-ray checkpoint blocks your path. Panic spikes. You have seconds to act before the scan. You catch the eye of a greedy guard and quietly offer him a piece of your cargo. You just established your first direct corrupt asset. Level 4, the route facilitator, the fixer. You clear $100,000 a year. You drive an armored 4x4. The cold weight of a concealed sidearm rests against your ribs. You manage operations from a secured safe house. The days of swallowing jagged rocks are over. But the fear never really fades. You no longer carry the stones. You carry the psychological weight. You pay off border guards and local police. You bribe the operators of modern infrared drone surveillance to create blind spots for your mules. You coordinate every drop using heavily encrypted burner satellite phones. Law enforcement is no longer your primary threat. Rival smuggling hijackers are hunting your routes. The risk shifts from an arrest to violent kidnapping. They will torture you for a single drop schedule. You live in a state of suffocating paranoia. Your satellite phone suddenly vibrates. A frantic text breaks the silence. One of your terrified mules was intercepted at the crossing. He just flipped to the authorities. You grab your go-bag. You must abandon the safe house and flee to the city. A specialized paramilitary interdiction unit is minutes away from raiding your compound. Level 5, the bush buyer, the middleman. You clear $300,000 a year. You operate out of temporary, secure buying offices in dusty transit towns. You drop professional jewelers' loupes and precision electronic scales onto the table. You are the crucial filter. You dictate the carat, clarity, and black market value of raw conflict stones. You buy bulk shipments. You pay with heavy duffel bags stuffed with untraceable US dollars. You are surrounded by a heavily armed private security detail. But the protection is an illusion. Traveling with massive sums of hard, physical cash paints a permanent target on your back. Organized syndicates want what you carry. You live in a state of suffocating hypervigilance. The ultimate threat is an inside job from your own mercenaries. You watch their hands just as closely as you watch the doors. You lock your steel safe as your encrypted tablet flashes a critical alert. The regional black market currency just violently collapsed. Your illicit stockpile is bleeding value by the second. To salvage your margins, you must find a direct, sophisticated way to integrate your raw stones into the legal international market. Level 6, the urban broker, the shadow merchant. You clear over $1 million a year. You watch the Dubai skyline from your luxury penthouse. You wear a bespoke suit to blend perfectly into the sanitized world of high finance. But the tailored wool hides a racing pulse. You are the bridge between jumbled blood and clean commerce. You pair massive raw shipments with corrupt diamond polishers to physically erase their origin signatures. You manage deep web encrypted ledgers to bypass early-stage financial tracking. Booting up Tails OS is a mandatory daily ritual. You verify every PGP encrypted message. Your digital footprint must remain at absolute zero. A single intercepted byte by Interpol's Financial Crimes Division means total ruin. Your offshore accounts would freeze overnight. You would face immediate international extradition. The constant paranoia knots tightly in your chest. You sip your espresso as your secure monitor suddenly flashes red. A critical alert breaks the silence. The new 2026 AI-driven blockchain tracking system for the Kimberley process just went active. It flagged your latest multi-million-dollar shipment as a massive statistical anomaly. The countdown to a raid has started. You must orchestrate an immediate, systemic subversion of international law to survive. Level 7, the Kimberley Subverter, the Forger. You pull in $3 million a year. You hold VIP status in elite international banking circles. You wield quiet, absolute leverage over high-ranking government officials. But the power comes with a terrifying altitude. You are the ghost in the machine. You wash blood diamonds. You oversee the delicate alchemy of mixing illicit rough stones into massive batches of legitimate, ethically sourced diamonds. You negotiate directly with corrupt ministers of mines to issue fraudulent Kimberley process certificates. To do this, you manage a massive slush fund of dark money. You pay off state actors to keep the ink flowing. But the stakes are no longer just a prison cell. If this dark money is traced, you face international tribunals at The Hague. You will be indicted for financing terrorism and war crimes. Your stomach tightens every time a wire transfer clears. Your encrypted feed suddenly flashes red. Breaking news floods the screen. Tanks are rolling through the capital of your primary transit country. A violent military coup just ousted the exact officials you control. Your entire fraudulent paper trail is sitting in their abandoned offices, waiting for United Nations investigators. Level 8, the Financial Washer, the Front Architect. You clear $10 million a year. You hold 3 golden passports to remote tax havens. A stable of private wealth managers answers your every call. But the luxury is a cage of pure stress. You are the architect of the labyrinth. You establish front companies in emerging free trade zones to invoice the legal diamonds. You wash the high-carat blood money into untraceable digital assets and shell corporations. Every keystroke is a high-wire act. You constantly structure massive wire transfers to slide just under SWIFT reporting thresholds. You sweat over every decimal point to dodge AI banking flags. One mathematical mistake triggers instant OFAC sanctions. It draws the lethal gaze of global intelligence agencies directly to your doorstep. The digital paranoia gives you chronic migraines. Suddenly, your secure terminal locks down. A priority red alert flashes across the screen. The Syndicate's aging leader just made a sloppy, highly public error. Elite international interdiction units are actively swarming his location. He is compromised. The entire financial network is exposed. To protect the billions, you have one agonizing choice. You must orchestrate a hostile internal takeover and cut the Kingpin loose. Level 9, the Logistics Director, the Supply Chain Disruptor. You clear $50 million a year. You fly in private charter planes. You travel with a fleet of armored SUVs. An army of high-powered legal fixers stays on permanent retainer. But the isolation is suffocating. You have risen to the executive tier. You never touch the stones. Instead, you control the massive private shipping fleets that move them globally. You orchestrate strategic, violent disruptions in regional supply chains. You starve the market to artificially inflate the value of your hidden stockpiles. You no longer hire street thugs. You employ elite PMC contractors for asset protection. But mercenaries cannot protect you from the true threat. Law enforcement is a distant memory. Your primary danger is a violent, well-funded coup from ambitious younger lieutenants within your own ranks. You watch your underlings closer than the feds. Suddenly, the floor violently shakes. A deafening shockwave shatters your office windows. Down in the street, the reigning Kingpin's armored convoy is a burning wreckage. A rival cartel just assassinated the boss. A massive power vacuum just opened. You must ruthlessly fill it, or the empire splinters into chaos. Level 10, the Syndicate Kingpin, the Paranoiac Architect. You are a shadow billionaire. You live in a heavily fortified, off-grid compound in a non-extradition sanctuary. A loyal private army guards your gates. Cutting-edge counter-surveillance sweeps your airspace. But your ultimate power is a suffocating prison. You command a multi-billion-dollar empire. You dictate global diamond prices with a single whisper. You balance the brutal pragmatism of silencing rivals with the delicate diplomacy of keeping illicit wealth flowing. To evade NSA signals intelligence and targeted drone strikes, your life is entirely analog. No phones. No screens. You rely strictly on offline communication. Human couriers with memorized messages are your only link to the outside world. Your life expectancy is technically indefinite. But you exist in a state of absolute, agonizing paranoia. Every shadow is an assassin. Every silence is a trap. A trusted courier steps into your dimly lit study. His hands are visibly shaking. He does not deliver a market report. He whispers a single, terrifying truth. The desperate miners from the very mud where you started have armed themselves. The jungle is burning. The foundation of human misery that built your untraceable wealth is finally circling back to consume its creator.